The following program does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station.
The following pre-recorded program is brought to you by Vertuvian, a Texas-based registered investment advisor.
Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello, hello, hello. Once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Stephen, Producer Stephen, I cannot explain to you how, here's a first world problem, okay? I cannot express to you how excited I get when no one is on the elevator with me. And I get to go all the way up or all the way down by myself. Stephen, today was not that day. It was a day where I was watching the elevator come down, and I'm like, there were two elevators that were having a competition. I was like, okay, who's going to get here first? And I mean, like, they were just stuck. I'm like, who the hell is, like, what kind of a clown car is getting ready to come down to the first floor? And indeed, it was a clown car. There was like 7 people that came out. And then I'm up there, and it's like, okay, I'm going to say something unkind. Trigger warning. I guess they have a cafe, a grease-laden, I mean, just the greasiest smelling, bad grease. Like, they need to change the oil on whatever fryer they've got. I guess it's on the 3rd floor, 2nd floor or something. And this larger girl, a woman who probably spends a lot of her time on TikTok, bigger girl gets on the 2nd floor, and I'm like, okay, is she going up to the 10th floor? No, 3rd floor. She's got like a vat of grease in her hands, and I'm like, maybe you should take the stairs. I mean, it's just 1 floor, but I digress. Okay. Sea turtle killing plastic straw. You guys, like, they think we're stupid. They think we're so dumb. And I'm just going with my gut here. I'm taping the show on Wednesday. Last night there were 2 elections, special election in Florida for the Mike Walls and Matt Gaetz seats, which to no one's surprise, it's Florida. Florida isn't going to play. They were outspent. The Republicans were outspent by, like, I don't know, $20 million, or the Democrats spent like $20 million in these individual races. And they were like, oh, gee, they're going to go down. Mike Waltz's seat's going to flip. It's like, but it didn't. Matt Gaetz' seat was not going to flip at all. And the 2 Republicans won, yay. But then, over in Wisconsin, where the likes of George Soros and the worst people in the world threw just umpteen millions and millions of dollars into this thing, a Supreme Court race, which everyone's like, what's the big deal about a Supreme Court? They're just going to be ruling on cases, right? Well, yeah, but the real reason there was $100 million thrown into the race, not just by Democrats cumulatively, but I guarantee the Democrats outspent us. They always do. They always outraise us. And it's so funny, side note, they want to talk about Elon. Oh, the billionaire that's trying to run the country. It's like your whole donor class is billionaires, okay? So, have several seats. Anyway, so George Soros and all the worst people in the world threw a ton of money into this race, and the Democrat won. This lunatic named Susan Crawford. And the reason they want this so bad is because they are like, we're going to gerrymander the hell out of Wisconsin. We're basically going to redraw the congressional districts to kick out all the Republicans. I mean, to save democracy and everything. So last night it was very curious because, look, again, I haven't even looked on X about this. I'm just going off my gut. The woman wins by 13 points? What? What? In a race that Donald Trump just won like 5 months ago, that Wisconsin went Republican 5 months ago? Now, granted, I understand that it's not a presidential race, but considering the wall-to-wall coverage I'm sure every Wisconsinite was receiving with advertising and push polling and flyers and all the things, you know that the Republicans knew there was a race going on. Anyway, my gut about this, and I hope that it is going to be looked into, is that there might have been some mail-in ballot issues. I don't know, but I do think that, what if they say, oh, the Democrats are wildly ahead in the mail-in ballots. Are they? Or is that their way that they cheat? I don't know. I hope that Pam Bondi's looking into this. I hope that Brad Schimmel's attorneys are, looking into this. I don't know if he's conceded or not. I do think something in the milk ain't clean. 13 points. It's like they did too much. They did too much. And that's where I just think that there's fraud. I just do. I don't have any proof of it. I just know that in a state that Donald Trump won by, 1 or 2 points, granted it wasn't a lot, but remember that Wisconsin was part of the vaunted blue wall that, no Republican could win until Donald Trump did. Republicans hadn't won that in, decades. But anyway, the point is this. I just don't think 13 points is reasonable, and I think that they did too much. And they're like, we better flood the zone with mail-in ballots and fraudulent ballots. And someone else was saying that it turns out there might be more ballots than there are voters, which is another giveaway. I know. I mean, I don't have standing, unlike some random person going to, judge shop around the country saying, oh, we need to make sure that the terrorists stay in the country. And then the Judge Bober's like, done, granted, you have standing. And on that note, let's get into this stuff that's going on with Boasberg and these ridiculous activist judges. Now, there's who's doing this? Let's see. Chuck Grassley, who's great. He has introduced legislation to clarify the scope of judicial relief. Now, I'm old enough to remember when in 2020, when the most secure election of our lifetime, and we're going to make sure that you're censored if you say otherwise, and we're going to make sure you're deplatformed, because it was the most secure election ever, and we should be able to prove that. But, people telling us that we were cheating, we're going to make sure that they're shut down, and you can't talk about them, and you can't criticize the Voldemort machines, or they're going to be sued for $1 billion. Anyway, I'm old enough to remember when these judges, that these people were bringing these cases, people that were in states, the swing states, saying, hey, I'm a citizen of these states, and we saw X, Y, and Z, or we were witnesses to all this fraud that happened. And they were like, you don't have standing. That's how they dismissed 90% of these cases. You don't have standing. And of course the media and the left was like, well, all of these cases were decided, and every single person said that there was no fraud. That's not what happened. And in fact, on about 70% of the cases that were able to go forward, they did find issues with these with these elections. Obviously, we have eyes to see and ears to hear. So here's the point: is that these judges, these rogue judges, I think there's 600 district judges. And I guess they're all president now, and they get to make rulings to determine for the entire country. They're small little districts, and they get to tell everybody else what to do. We're going to talk about this more when we get back. You're listening to Angela Box Show. Be right back.
It's conservative, air combat, armed and ready. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
So Jeb Boasberg is kind of the guy that everyone is looking at right now. And the reason why is because he has randomly been assigned 4 huge Trump cases. Just randomly. Of course, the DC judges, they're just they spin a wheel, and his name just happened to come up all 4 times for all these cases. And so he's, the person everyone is focused on, but there's a lot more of these district judges that are doing these things. And, they basically are saying that any Tom, Dick, and Harry across the country can bring a case. And again, I'm old enough to remember when they told us that people that live in the states that had the fraud don't have standing to bring cases or to work with lawyers or to work with a class to bring cases against, or at least like, can we open the books? Can we look at the machines? Oh, no, you're not allowed. Now, again, the Democrats in 2016, when Hillary Clinton lost, which she thought they had, look, she thought she had that wrapped up. I mean, she was the cat that ate the canary. She was going to smash that glass ceiling. They were so sure. They were like, well, you should win on your merits, but just in case you don't, like, we've got all these things lined up that we've been doing for a very long time that you'll be fine, okay? Well, she wasn't fine. And so the question becomes, when she started to talk about Trump-Russia collusion and, you know, the FBI started the coup on him. They really started the coup after a Crossfire hurricane. They were trying to do the coup before he got in, and then afterwards with the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. You know, she walks around making these insane statements that he's, you know, colluding with Russia, and him and Putin were on a phone call, like, whatever. All the stuff, all the things she said. My question is this for the Democrats. How come not one single elected Democrat or person on the media ever said, hey, you know what we ought to do? We need to go and do some forensic audits because we've identified some areas of the country that we think that need to be looked at. And Trump would have been like, cool, let's do it. Let's do it. In 2020, what did our side do? They immediately were like, we need to open the books. We need to look at these machines. We need to look at these algorithms. And sure enough, in the cases where the Voldemort machines, and I called them the Voldemort machines because, again, don't want to be sued for $1 billion. When the Voldemort machines were opened and computer scientists look into those algorithms, they're like, yeah, it's switching the vote count by 6% approximately. So basically, who paid the most money, candidate A, gets to win the race. This is why she thought she had it wrapped. This is my opinion, of course, allegedly. Don't come for me. Anyway, here's the point. In 2020, we're all saying we need to look at these elections. We want to do forensic audits. And in the places that forensic audits were done, it wasn't good for Democrats at all. But nothing was ever done about it. It was just, let's expose it and, you know, whatever. And then you've got the 2,000 mules and the harvest, all the things they did. So I guess my point is this. Why is it that Hillary Clinton and every single Democrat can talk about a stolen election for 4 years? Nothing happens to them. They're not banned on Twitter. They're not shut down. They're not deplatformed. Nothing happens to them. And at the same time, they never call for a forensic audit. So it's like, you put up or shut up, lady. You put up or shut up. If you really think it was stolen and he colluded with Russia, get in there and look at the results. Never happened. On the other hand, our side absolutely did that. And when these cases were brought, we were told we don't have standing. That's my whole point. And now any schmuck from across the country who is an illegal alien stan can go in and be like, hey, Judge Boasberg, I just randomly got you again. I know it's so weird. Can you please stop the Tren de Agua flights and the MS-13 gang rapist flights from landing in El Salvador, because their prison is scary. It is. And I told you all about this. Fred and I watched this documentary before Bukala even agreed to do these things, before the election. And I was like, damn, you do not want to be in one of those El Salvadorian prisons. And now everyone can see. And the stuff that they're showing on TV, what happens at the prison, the B-roll footage or whatever, that's from the documentary we saw. So I'm like, I recognize that. No thanks. Now, they're trying to make a case that there are one or two horrible exceptions. And granted, it's a terrible exception. I don't think anyone among us wants to see janitors and nannies and gardeners thrown in into the El Salvadoran prison. Like, I don't. I just want them deported. Okay? I don't want them thrown in with the MS-13 and the Tren de Agua. Nobody would say that. And unfortunately, evidently, there's a couple, and I mean a couple, of exceptions that are getting wrapped up in this, and hopefully that will be remedied. But for the most part, all these people that are being rounded up and sent away are the worst of the worst. And yet, Democrats and celebrities and people in the media are like wringing their hands over this. It's like, I mean, the Democrat Party was sitting at a robust 29% approval rating. And this last week, I think it dropped down to like 23%. Like, it's just plummeting. Like, the American people are like, what do you not understand, media and Democrats? Like, we voted for this. We want Elon Musk to look into everything. We want these violent illegal aliens deported. And then we'll get to the others that are taking advantage of our system, that are, I don't know, perhaps using a social security number that has been bought and sold on the black market. 2.1 million Elon came to fund out this last week. Yeah, did you hear about this? Elon Musk is like, hey, something else I discovered in the Social Security deep dive that we're doing, and the lies they're telling about this. The lies they are telling about this. They're like, they're coming after your Social Security. It's like, well, do you think that people who should not be receiving these benefits should we not expose that and make it stop? I guess not. Anyway, he said that 2.1 million Social Security numbers had been obtained by, quote, non-citizens. Now, non-citizens can mean a variety of things. However, more than likely it's illegal aliens. And why is that important? Because, of course, the Democrats cannot win elections legitimately, so they needed to flood the zone with as many drains on the system as humanly possible, as many people who will be dependent on them as humanly possible. And, of course, they need the votes. And they're like, well, illegal aliens don't vote. That's a lie. And I've said this, until my hair falls out. If you can motor voter, that stupid thing that happened, and everyone's like, well, here we go. They're like, don't you want to make it easier for people to vote? Isn't that the goal? We want as many people voting as possible. Yes, we do. But we also want an informed electorate. And we also want people who, I don't know, like make a tiny bit of effort to get registered to vote, as opposed to making it super, super easy. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. It is convenient, I will say that, but it also opens the door for massive fraud. Because if you have a driver's license, you can vote in most elections. Like, they'll just let you vote. Anyway, so I'm sure it has nothing to do with why Democrats are screaming about Elon going into the Social Security system and trying to eliminate the fraud. All right, let's get back to these judges real quick. So as I mentioned, Chuck Grassley has introduced legislation to clarify the scope of judicial relief. Landmark legislation would put a stop to unconstitutional judicial overreach. And, the founding fathers, our founding fathers understood that an activist court and the lawyer class is what a lot of the founding fathers called them, the lawyer class, were the biggest threat to this experiment known as America. Because what they will do, and they do it all the time, they take it upon themselves to become, again, executives. They're not in their lane, as I like to say. And Judge Boasberg basically saying that, what did he do? Well, there's a few things he did. We heard about this. I have this in my notes from earlier in the week, so forgive me. But he ordered, the Trenda Aguas to come back, and the MS-13 to come back, and all those things. And here's one. Judge extends Biden amnesty for 530 Venezuelan migrants. So there's a judge that essentially is saying, I know that you wanted to get rid of these people because they should not be here, but never mind. Even though Joe Biden granting amnesty, flying all these people in the first place, going to countries and saying, hey, do you have any violent rapists and murderers and child traffickers? Do you have any of those people you can send us? Great, we'll take them. They went and they got them, and then they brought them to America, and they put them in your town. And they flooded the zone with these people. And again, why? Why did he fly them all to red states? Is my question. I don't know what that could possibly be about. Anyway, so Biden flying in all these people is perfectly fine. And if a citizen brought up an issue with that and took it to a district judge, well, first of all, the district judges wouldn't do anything about it because they all are on their side. But let's just say that a citizen did. I guarantee you the judge would say, you don't have standing. You don't have standing. But any schmuck can go to these judges and say, please stop them. Please make them stop. This is so bad for them. Oh, it's so sad. And they do it. Okay, anyway, let me go back to this. Federal judges, this is from Wall Street Apes. This is Kennedy, Senator Kennedy. I'm so glad that we have a Senator Kennedy now and it's not Ted. Anyway, federal judges are not supposed to be ordering universal injunctions. The Department of Justice has even been trying to stop this for years. This is Kennedy, how can a federal judge issue an order that affects everybody else other than those in front of him or her? How is that possible? So again, the standing. But again, the difference, and this is the difference. People that brought cases or wanted to bring cases or did bring cases in front of judges during the 2020 election did have standing. They absolutely had standing. They were citizens of those states. And people are like scratching their heads going, how can people in the states that were denied the correct result of a major election, how would those people not have standing? Even if it turns out that their case had no basis in fact, which most of them did. How is it that they don't have standing, but these random people that are coming in and putting cases in front of judges, they're not even in the jurisdiction, how do they have standing? Anyway, it's ridiculous, you guys. It's ridiculous. All right, you're listening to the Box Show. We'll be right back.
Hey, fellow patriots and filthy leftist stalkers. It's Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
So the judge, this Edward Chen from San Francisco, I know, shocking, who blocked Trump from ending temporary protected status for those 350,000 Venezuelans, saying, you got to go. We're going to remove you. Their work permits and protection from removal was set to be terminated next week. So, judge is like, no, we need them, nannies and gardeners. And Stephen Miller said this is what we mean by judicial tyranny. Biden mass imported illegals from Venezuela, including criminals. Again, they went and they handpicked them. They're like, me. How many people have you killed? 2. Great, you're good. How many children did you molest? 7? Fantastic, we'll take you. How many women have you raped? 5? Awesome. Get on board. Anyway, including criminals, gave them welfare and social security numbers. President Trump won an election promising to end the invasion. A rogue Marxist judge just ordered Biden's amnesty continue. Look, the only person polling on this is Rasmussen, obviously. And Rasmussen basically said one of their questions the other day. See if I can find it. If it's in my notes, I don't think I put it in my notes, but I'll summarize. Rasmussen basically said that they said if it is determined that a judge is going around the will of the people and not stopping these violent illegal aliens from being deported when President Trump has said they should be deported. And do you support that? Do you support a judge doing what they're doing? And, it's like a 65% issue. Even Democrats are like, no, we should not allow that. Like, it should not be up to one judge they don't have executive power. And for the life of me, I don't know what it's going to take for the Supreme Court to say, okay, all right, we're stepping in here. But I talked about last week how compromised I think Justice Roberts is. And he's like buddies with the woman who doesn't know what a woman, Ketanji. She's like, I don't know, I'm not a biologist, but she's a biologist enough to hang around with a bunch of other radical leftists, and they meet behind closed doors, and they talk about how horrible the American people are and what a knuckle-dragging troglodytes we all are. Anyway, let's talk about some other stuff. Today, as I tape this, we're all waiting, and Fred is definitely waiting on this, Oh, y'all, the market has been quite the roller coaster. I will just say this. If you have money in the market, I would recommend, just don't look at it. Just don't look at it, and certainly don't get crazy right now and be like, I better pull everything, because it will recover. It's just a little scary right now, admittedly. But if you've got a good financial advisor like Fred is, Virtuvian.com, by the way, VITUR, Virtuvian, I can never say it, VIRTUEVIAN.com. That is his company. He has a lizard brain, as I've said. Get in touch with him. Anyway, if you have a good money manager, they'll tell you, just calm down, okay? Just chill out. It's gonna be bumpy. But we're all waiting on what Trump is gonna say about tariffs. And most people think, well, people don't know. Honestly, people don't know. And this is the genius of Donald Trump. He's like, it's Liberation Day. It's Liberation Day. That means that we're basically going to start having massive revenue come into the coffers, and it's going to offset the need for taxation, which is the whole point. So before 1919, or when we got off the gold standard we got off in 1970, but basically the whole revenue, what do they call it? The Federal Reserve System. And believe me, I'm not that smart. It's hard. And money, I'm like, it's math. It's not my forte. But I do understand that when you take something off a system that is backed by actual currency and put it on a system that's backed by, air, popcorn, it could change things a little bit. So Trump's whole idea is to get rid of the federal income tax. Like, let's get rid of it. And let's get rid of the IRS, and let's have an external revenue service, which will be what these tariffs will replace. So I think people, if they can understand that, and understand that if what happens today is that he says it's going to be reciprocal, or is it going to be, some people are like, is it going to be 25% across the board, or is it going to be reciprocal? But he said for this whole time it's going to be reciprocal. If they tax us, we tax them. That's it. Why is it so hard for people to get? Like, I hope today, and I think it will be an educational little session, like we all watched Elon and his fellow lizard people give a real education to the American people about what's going on with Doge, with Brett Baer, even though he was loath to have to do that interview. He's like, oh man, I have to be back on the Trump train, much to my chagrin. But it was a very good, educational session. He let them talk, and he was like, wait, how much fraud have you uncovered? What? Like, how many IT departments are there, and the Treasury? Like, just crazy stuff. Anyway, point is this. Trump is basically getting everybody in the world's eyes on this press conference today. Everybody is going to be watching this, and it's going to be a great opportunity for him to have an education and saying, let me explain why we're doing this. Again, for the 20,000th time. But now that the eyes of the world are going to be on him, even more than they usually are, let's teach you about why we're doing this. I'm excited about it. I mean, change is hard, as I've said, and people need to understand that nothing worthwhile is easy. Nothing. So if we really are serious about reining in this out-of-control government, which it is out of control, is the nicest thing you could say about it. Evil, corrupt, criminal, rogue. I mean, those are some other adjectives we could use. But if we're serious about reining in this government, you've got to make some tough choices. And I think that's what Trump is going to be talking about. Now, let's talk about some other stuff. So, across the pond, or across in Europe, another witch hunt is happening. And there's been a few of these witch hunts. There was one in Romania against a right-wing populist who, they were like, no, you can't run for president. Like, crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. Or in Brazil, of course, where Bolsonaro 100% won that election. And they used the Voldemort machine. Stephen, did you know they used the Voldemort machines in Brazil? And it was so weird because the communists won, even though the polls were like Bolsonaro's going to win in a walk. Anyway, and they're trying to jail Bolsonaro now in Brazil. Yeah, because that's what you do to save democracy. You jail your political opponents. And, of course, in France, they are basically threatening Marine Le Pen with a good time. And they're like, we're going to throw you in jail for 4 years, and you're banned from running for the election in 2027. This is how much of a threat they know Marine Le Pen is. Her movement, I've been following Marine Le Pen for as long as she's been around. She's fantastic. She's absolutely fantastic. And she basically wants to stop the mass migration and the mass influx of immigrants and illegal aliens and all the things that we are experiencing. But I dare say in Europe it's even more severe, because Europe is really bending over backwards for the Islamists. And they're really, turning a blind eye to what is happening to their countries and the wholesale cultural destruction of European countries. And, it's not a popular opinion to say this, but I'll say it anyway. The United States is a unique country in the fact that we are a melting pot, and we used to be a melting pot, and we have no problem with people coming from different countries as long as they come here the right way, legally. They learn our language, and they assimilate to our culture, and they become Americans. Like, you can have your culture. That's not a problem. No one says you should not. But when you assimilate and you come to America, you become Americans, and that's how it used to be. But homogenous countries, so that being said, the United States has always been a heterogeneous country for the most part. Yes, it's majority European, of European descent, and one could argue correctly, I believe, that a more homogeneous society has less crime, has more social cohesion, and their culture is respected more. I mean, you look at Japan or China or Slovenia or any other country that's kind of homogeneous, and everything seems to be going a little more chill. Look at Russia. Like, you can say what you want about Putin, but the Russians seem like they're not the most unhappy people in the world, it doesn't seem like. But anyway, the point is this. Marine Le Pen has been sounding the alarm about the destruction of the French culture, the destruction of the European culture, and that really started to go very much awry after the EU was founded. And we talked about this last week. And Margaret Thatcher very presciently said that, I think the UK joined for a minute, and then she wanted out. Like, then she was like, this was a bad decision. Like, about a year in, they were like, ooh, this is bad. So she became an early Brexiteer, like, in the 70s. And, unfortunately, Brexit, I think, has come too late for England. And because they're not really doing Brexit, because they're still doing the same crap they did before. I mean, if Boris Johnson, who we all thought was great until COVID, like, if he can be flipped and become a milquetoast loser, like anybody, I guess, can. But they know Marine Le Pen is not one of those people, and she's not here to play. And so they found her, quote, guilty. They convicted her of some embezzlement crime, which she's like, I didn't do it. And this is a witch hunt. And Trump commented on it, and he said, yeah, it looks very similar to what happens here. Because, again, nothing screams hashtag save democracy more than locking up your political opponents or trying to prevent them from running for office. Because at this point, Marine Le Pen is way ahead of the pack. She's like 35%. The next closest to her is like 23%. She would win. And that's how scared they are of her. 2 years out of this election, they're like, we got to get rid of her. It's evil, and I don't know what can be done in Europe. Like, they're writing their own death sentence as far as I'm concerned. All right, one more segment. We'll be right back.
This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Stephen, do me a favor. Can you look up if Trump has revoked Obama's security clearance yet? Because some of the worst people in the world trademark, hashtag worst people in the world. Earlier this week, Trump authorized or instructed Tulsi Gabbard to revoke the security clearances, the top secret security clearances of, drumroll please, Senator Knee Pads, Queen Cankles, Satan's Muse, as I call her, Hillary Clinton, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Fiona Hill, and Alexander Vindman. And he's already revoked. I think he's already revoked Joe Biden's. Oh yeah, Joe Biden's. Yeah, but not Obama yet. Not Obama yet. Oh, get ready. I'm sure Barry is coming. Hey, listen. Turnabout is fair play. They immediately revoked Trump's security clearance in 2021. Immediately. So I say revoke them all. The reason they're having meltdowns over this, of course, but they don't have a leg to stand on. And they're like, but again, you revoked Trump's, because of January 6th, the Holocaust. Anyway, I think it's funny because Trump's like, well, of course we're revoking Joe Biden's security clearance. Like, did you watch the last 4 years? The guy didn't know where he was. Robert Hur, the special counsel, who were also pissed off at him about with the classified documents, the punting of that. When Joe Biden literally has boxes of classified documents next to his beloved Corvette in his house in Rehoboth Beach and all over the UPenn Biden Center, which just so happened to be easily accessible by a bunch of Chinese people, I digress, and all over the place. So you just had, so many classified documents. And Robert Hur famously said that he wasn't going to be prosecuting him or not referring him for whatever because he was a, quote, elderly man with a poor memory, end quote. And we were all pissed off at that at first, but what if Robert Hur was like, look, I know that nothing's going to happen. Like, they're not going to do anything. You think Merrick Garland and his Justice Department is going to go after Joe Biden? Like, I don't think so. They're all in cahoots. So let me just completely embarrass this old coot and talk about what a just out to lunch human being he is. And again, unless there's a child around for Joe Biden to sniff, he couldn't be bothered. All right. So I think that's great news. Fantastic news. And I hope that soon the security clearances, and Trump has threatened this too, to pull it from Boasberg. Why would a district court judge have a security clearance anyway, is my question. Revoke them all. Like, yank them. Okay. So Cat Turd had this little post. Evidently the Democrats, they're on the case. And they all made a trip to Gitmo earlier this week. And, there was a bunch of them like Jack Reed and Jean Shaheen, who weirdly enough said she wasn't going to run for office right after Elon Musk started to dig into USAID. Gary Peters, Alex Padilla, and, a few, I guess that's it, with a bunch of probably aides and staffers. They're flanked by it looks like a few service members at Gitmo, but yeah, these 4 people, they were like, what we need to do? We need to go to Gitmo and make sure that these illegal alien gang members are being treated with respect and dignity. It's very important. It's very important that they have their due process rights. It's like, hey, dummies, they don't get due process. They're not American citizens. These radical jihadists, they're all over college campuses talking about the Intifada and the student Intifada and long live the student Intifada and death to Israel and October 7th was great and we love Hamas. Those people don't have due process rights either. Get them out. They have nothing. They are not American citizens. Now, if they were American citizens, sure, they'd have due process rights. And they could say, you can't kick me off campus. Well, you're calling for the murder of Jews and whatever, and, standing for Hamas. I don't know. Maybe if they were American citizens, they could do that and use a free speech exception. But I don't think if you're actually calling for the murder of people, you can do that. Much like the TikTokers and the Tesla vandalizers, the Tesla vandalizers, the Tesla firebombers, the dealership firebombers who think that, it's 2020 and, it's a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. These people seem to think that they're not going to be prosecuted. And Pam Bondi's like, actually, we're going to recommend that you get 20 years in a big boy prison, not a club fed prison, a big boy and big girl prison. So enjoy your little act of rebellion against mommy and daddy and Orange Man bad. But they seem to think that they're not going to have repercussions at all. And they go on TikTok and they're like, someone should assassinate Elon. Like, can someone do this, please? And they're getting knocks on the door now going, come with me, please, sir. or whatever pronoun you'd like to be called. Come with me, please. And so this is what they're not taking into account, because they think it's Chaz in 2020. They think it's Seattle, where they can just like take over whole blocks of city space, because of George Floyd. George Floyd, guys, this is a little schadenfreude. We all know that the Washington, D.C. BM mural that was painted all over the streets, that's gone. Bye-bye. And they're also starting to tear down the George Floyd statues, which is great. It's so good. It's like, you want to erase people from history? How about that violent criminal? Like, let's erase that guy from being revered in history. It's so insane. Okay, so let's talk about some other stuff. What do I want to do here? Oh, here's something. So in that Brett Baier sit down that I was talking about, which was so great, go watch it. So he said that dealing with Social Security, and again, he's like, your Social Security is not going to be touched. Your Medicare and Medicaid is not going to be touched. Now, do there need to be reforms in these programs? Absolutely. But the people that depend on these things, that's not going to be bothered. It's not going to be touched. It's not going to be touched. But what he did say, something he did say, was that the calls that they receive every day in the Social Security system, 40% of those calls are basically scammers trying to change the direct deposit information. So they get these people's Social Security numbers, and they call up, and they're like, hey, we'd like to change the bank that this money goes to. And instead of the people on the other end of the line, instead of the federal government going, well, I'm going to need some verification on who you are other than your Social Security number, they're like, okay, sure, where do you need that sent to, sir? And of course, if you're Maud in Ohio and you're like a 92-year-old retiree and you depend on that money, that, $1,500 check or whatever you get with your Social Security, and you don't get it 1 month, and you call back up and you're like, what? Where's my money? And like, well, Maud, you called to change it. And you said you wanted it sent to a bank in Uzbekistan. And she's like, I certainly did not do that. See, again, these federal workers, there's no like critical thinking skills. If you're working at the Social Security Administration and someone calls up wanting to change the bank, you better be able to verify these people other than just a Social Security. So that's another reform that Elon Musk is trying to do, which explain why this is a bad thing. Explain. Oh, I'm sure you heard about this. I should say he's getting deported, but he may be one of Joe Biden's favorite Venezuelans. Remember the demonic looking bald, like he looks like a demon, like legit demon. The Venezuelan illegal alien, the social media sensation, who basically was like, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to go into these empty houses and you need to squat, man. You need to squat there. You don't need to leave. They won't make you leave, man. In America, they will let you stay. So this guy, my Espanol is a little rusty, so I was trying to do my best Cheech and Chong imitation there. And I don't know what his name is. What is his name? His name is like Loreno something. Anyway, TikToker who went viral for telling illegal immigrants how to, quote, invade homes, vacant homes. Not vacant, but yeah, vacant. Like you own a property, it's not rented out, whatever. These people go in and squat and you can't get them out. He has just been deported. Now, I don't know if he's actually been, like I said, I don't know if he's been deported actually, or if he's scheduled to be deported, and Edward Chen of San Francisco is like, no, let's keep him. He's the best and the brightest among us. What are you, a racist? Anyway, this is a little demon. Leonel who? Leonel Moreno. He has been deported, which is really, really fun. Okay, one more thing. Oh, he's rapping me. Oh, but basically the FBI basically said that there was some new communications that said that they absolutely sat on the Hunter Biden laptop and in fact told everybody to not even talk about it and to act like it wasn't a thing and to say it was Russian disinformation. So there's that too. Didn't even get to it. Oh man, tell ya. Look that story up. We'll probably talk about it next week, maybe, if I can remember. All right, you've been listening to the Angela Box Show. Thank you for joining me. Till next time, everybody. Keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace!